Hey guys, welcome back to Puffy Lauda, and welcome back to Café Enchanté. It's just a bad time. Veneer has awakened, and Drami tried to eat cotonnet, which was gross. Let's just get right into it. Bestia, land of the beasts. Its inhabitants follow a strict code of law. The strong dominate the weak or thin them from the herd. Tonight, once more beneath moonlight, somewhere in this vast, desolate place, someone is killing, dying, fleeing, or fighting. This order has been upheld for eternity. Its rules have been paid for and signed by the blood of all beasts. A crimson fiery tower rises into the night sky. Any beast whose eye catches the red flare blast upward stops in their tracks and stares. It was strange. A bitter, intense frost covered the terrain, so thick not even sunlight could penetrate it. In the dark of this night, one could hardly see the moon. So, what was that? The answer puzzled all but a chosen few. A mighty howl blazed the surrounding area. A beast feared by all in antiquity, the beast that time forgot, the heretic of doom. The world devourer, Vanar. Awakened after millenniums in hibernation, thanks to its latent power dwelling in a young fighter, the flaming wolf is reborn. Led by the call of hunger in its stomach to satisfy the craving swelling within. The unforgiving winds, the blizzards, the ice melt at any distance near the flaming wolf. Observers from far away cannot make out the source of this mysterious pillar, but its light is nevertheless ominous. Upon seeing the flaming pillar, all beasts abandoned their skirmishes, struck by fear. It was certain death. This instinct came universally to all beasts. All except for one. At the feet of the snarling wolf who sniffed for prey, rejoiced the calamitous fanatic. Draw me, you bitch. Cotonnet? Is Cotonnet alive? Well, I think so. Hopefully. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Is that Mizir? At someone else's urging, I was shaken awake. As my eyelids slowly opened, the person I see in front of me was... Oh, it is Mizir. Mizir. I glanced around. The restless field of ice, along with the shrine, had vanished into memory. With the aid of Mizir, I attempted to stand, placing both of my feet on the cold floor. Canis and Rendo stared back at me silently, but something in their eyes worried me. Huh? I knew that at some point I had fainted, but everything else was a blur. How did I get back here safely? My face, my back, my arms. A dull pain coursed through my body. No, Ignis! Well, rip. I remembered everything. Drami kidnapped me. Wait, tell me something. Where's Ignis? What happened to Ignis?
イグニスなら
異形の姿と化し、ベスティアの表現を失踪している。
That must mean... Did Ignis become Vanar? As the reality sank in, I begged for all of it to be a mere nightmare. But all three nodded in unison to my question.
ごめん。俺たちってば毎回到着するのが遅すぎるよね。
まさにイグニスがバナルの姿になった時にちょうどここに追いついてね。
巨大な炎と祠の崩壊、そして何よりもあなたをバナルと化したイグニスから隠すので精一杯だったのだ。すまない。
No, none of you are responsible for this. It's not her fault. It's totally fucking Drami's fault, though. We're gonna yeah. Drami laid the perfect plan, after all. Besides, you couldn't have just abandoned all the townspeople. I'm sure that Ignis, were he there, would have made the same decision. The part which hurt the most, Ignis succumbed to his instinct to become Vanar, all to save me.
ともかく、イグニスも放ってはおけない。今からでも追いかけないと。ことね、君はどうする？安全面を考えるなら、ここに留まってもいい。
Mizir offered his suggestion with a nod. It seemed he already expected my answer, but I appreciated his consideration all the same. I responded without hesitation. I want to go with you. I know there isn't much I can do, but I want to do whatever it takes to help Ignis return to normal.
オッケー。パーティーにお姫様を追加っと。助けようね。俺たちの仲間をさ。
Yeah.
リンド、彼女の意思も確認できた以上、すぐにでも出発できるか？
As Connus turned to face the man whom he had directed his question, Rindo came huffing. A snowmobile? Oh my god!
極寒の世界を旅するにはもってこいさ。調査班御用達の特注品。さ、早く乗って。
Yo, this is awesome. Okay. At Rindo's prompting, I climbed into the rear seat behind him. Hanging on each side of the vehicle, Mizir and Connus hung the hands and feet, their hands and feet, sitting snugly in the side compartments.
重量的なものもあるし、お強いお二人は飛ぶなり走るなりしてくれると助かるんだけど。
大丈夫、いけるいける。風圧やらなんやらチート使って軽くなるようにしてあげるからさ。
いざという時のための温存だ。操縦はお前に任せるぞ、リンド。
Rindo curled his lips into a smirk, digging his boot into the pedal and revving the engine before...
じゃあ、飛ばしていくよ。荒くれ狼との追いかけっこだ。
As the snowmobile dashed atop the dense snow, I gripped my arms around Rindo. Mizir stretched out his head to share info with me as we glided across Bestia. He informed me that, shortly after subduing the mad herd of minotaurs around town, they came back to Enchanté. Once Karya had gotten him and Connus up to speed, they entrusted him with Eel and left. Then they regrouped with Rindo at the GPM. They routed the minotaurs near his location and managed to manipulate the fixed wormhole to appear in the vicinity of the shrine. Shortly after, Rindo had placed an order for the snowmobile with Mikado after debriefing the doctor on everything thus far. Rindo called out to us, and sure enough, in the distance, a gigantic beast trampled on the frozen ground, crushing snowmelt beneath paws the size of our vehicle. Or crushing snow, or melting the snow beneath its paws around the size of our vehicle. Maybe that's what they meant. Ignis! Somewhere beneath that flaming behemoth was the fighter I longed to see.
この距離であの大きさ、全長20メートルあるかな。さすがに圧巻だね。
How many feet is 20 meters? Let's look that up really quick, just because I am American, unfortunately. Unfortunately. 65 feet tall. Holy fuck.
けど壁画の内容から察するにあれでも可愛い方でしょ。このまま餌となる命を貪り完全なバナルの姿になったら
山を越えるほどの大きさになるということか。
Right now, what exactly is Ignis heading for?
当然獲物となる魔獣たちが固まっている縄張りなのだろうな。
Just then, I heard a ringtone chiming from Rendo's coat pocket.
ごめん、運転で手が離せない。代わりに君が取ってくれるかな。
Okay.
やあ、リンド。無事にアンチャンテのマスターは救助できたかな。
Mikado!
もっとよかったご本人じゃないか。ただただと安否確認せずに済んで助かるよ。そばで聞いているだろう、リンド。悪いニュースと悪いニュース。まあ、つまり悪いニュースしかないんだけど、聞く気はあるかな。
そこはせめていい知らせとセットにするもんだろう。たく、とにかく話せ。手短にね。
ああ、今回ばかりは僕もかなり身の危険を感じてるからね。シンプルに告げるとしよう。人間界の上空にベスティアへ通じる巨大なホールが開いちゃった。
Oh, God.
それこそ例のバナル、つまり今のイグニス君が余裕で通れる大きさのね。
What?
嘘だろ。
なんでこのタイミングで最悪。
人間界は死神に呪われでもしているのか。
As we all processed Mikado's bad news, right before his eyes, Ignis came to a screeching halt. The calamitous beast let out a giant roar, swinging his nose in search of prey. Then he shifted his weight and sprinted off in an entirely different direction. Ignis? I called out to him in the darkness, but showed no sign of slowing. Don't tell me he's heading towards the portal to the human world?
あー、マジか。発生したホールから匂いを嗅ぎつけちゃったんだ。
バナルは何よりも人間を好んで食らうとなれば、あのままホールをくぐらせては。
人間が根絶やしになるってわけだ。その前に何としても止めないと。
We can just scream, "Hey, Ignis, there's two humans over here!" Like, without much time to think, Rendo floored acceleration to top speed. Wait, we didn't hear the second part of the bad news. We had managed to catch up with Ignis, keeping him well within pace to stay right on his tail.
とにかく今は足止めを最優先と。
Ooh! Monsieur motioned with arms, generating thick, colorful circles of mana that materialized into thick chains of light. The magic chains pursued Ignis, tangling around his massive body to ensnare him. But the great wolf howled, warding off the incoming spell with his infernal pelt.
くっそ、やっぱ俺に高速系は向いてないか。だったら。
This time, Mazir had stretched out his palm. The ground before Ignis cracked. Mazir's spell tore the earth asunder. Oh! The great wolf took a step backward, and the ground started to give beneath him, forming a pit down into the sea.
よし、そのまま海に落ち。
A wolf was a wolf, no matter the size. At the risk of losing his balance, the wolf needed to run nimbly and quickly. The great beast dashed left and right, searching for some solid ground before the entire sinkhole collapsed. The spectacle draws looks of awe from Azir's face.
むちゃくちゃすぎでしょ。でも元がイグニスなら納得か。
ミシェル、感心してる場合じゃないって。
わかってるよ。だったら純粋にやるしかないね。
Mazir thrusted his hands outwards into a shape and then snapped his fingers. Then... Oh! A series of incendiary explosions occur all over the surface of Ignis's fur. Even from a great distance away, I had to cover my cheeks from the heat produced by each deafening blast. Mizir, don't you think you're overdoing it?
いや、どうやらその心配は無用のようだ。
As the smoke cleared from the explosions, Ignis had calmly carried on, acting as if though nothing happened.
体の頑丈さも反則レベル。小手先じゃノーダメ確定。というか、何より一番厄介なのは俺の攻撃や妨害に全然反応してくれない。
本能のままにただ餌を求めて走っているせいか。それ以外にはまさに目もくれないか。
挑発や説得に応じない分、そこらの人外や悪党よりもよっぽどタチが悪いかもね。
ならば我が先回りし直接迎撃しよう。さすがに真正面から攻撃をされれば狩りの邪魔者とみなし排除しようとするはず。
But Canis, are you sure that's okay? Usually Canis has no trouble assuring me, but even the Black Knight was lost for words. This time, it seemed, was an exception.
やってみなければわからん。だが何もせず友が落ちる姿を眺めるばかりなどできるはずもない。リンド、速度を上げてくれ。
了解。少しでも可能性があるならかけるしかないね。
The snowmobile's engine let out a low grumble over the icy fields. Soon we overtook Ignis, and when we had gained a fair bit of distance, Canis leapt out of the snowmobile, sheathing his enormous blade in a bid to distract Ignis. Mizir followed soon after, covering his ally from behind. The vehicle zoomed some ways away from the fray, keeping a close eye on them.
足場やらなんやらは俺に任せて。ガチの殴り合いはよろしく。
心得た。
The Black Knight and the Demon King. Even when facing two of the greatest warriors across all realms, Ignis didn't flinch.
琴音ちゃん、衝撃にそれて。
Oh, okay! The moment I stiffened my body, Canis took a giant leap. The Knight of Medio and the Wolf of Calamity clashed together, slamming the ground with intense impact. As expected, Canis' sword could not penetrate the blazing hellfire which covered the fur of his opponent. Somehow, however, the Black Knight managed to halt Ignis in his tracks. Mizir was quick to react.
動けなくするなら足の剣もらうよ。
Damn! Mizir drew large circles above his head that summoned hellish spears, which hurled towards Ignis' legs. However, the result was the same. It was, despite Mizir's effort, futile. Much like chunks of ice, Mizir's spells evaporated before ever making contact with their intended target. Does nothing work?
最悪の名前は伊達じゃないってことだね。
なんか俺が雑魚キャラみたいじゃない？チート魔王様の設定はどこへって感じ。
As I sat in astonishment beside Rindo, I noticed a small magic circle. It was from what I recalled what Mizir used to communicate with Eel.
とりあえずこの場にいる全員に通話用の術式と魔力を預けとく。これで最低限の連携は取れるからね。
Behind Mizir, Canis was still in the heat of the battle, clanging his sword at the massive wolf without breaking a sweat. Explosions continued to ring in the distance, likely from some spell that Mizir automated while talking to us.
それで対策は見た感じだとバナルは無敵。このままなすすべがないってこと？
いや、 彼はまだバナルとしてやっぱり完全には覚醒してないよ。今ならまだ付け入る隙がある。それと今俺たちが苦戦してるのはイグニスを止めること、つまり救うことを最優先としてるからだ。あと一応俺には切り札っていうか、どんな化け物だろうとどんな世界だろうと絶対に勝つことができる力がある。それを振るえばこの戦いを終わらせることはできる。
What the hell are you gonna do? Mizir, is that... As the cacophonous battle waged behind us, Mizir heaved a sigh in anguish. Rindo frowned, having seemingly picked up on Mizir's implication.
拘束や静止もうまくいかない。
Oh shit!
イグニスに人間界へ侵攻する意志がある以上、
He's insinuating that we kill him, I think.
俺たちは決断しなきゃいけない。
That meant... Do you mean... killing Ignis? The other line was silent. I took a deep breath, realizing the answer.
ミシェル、任せてもいいのかい？
ああ、もうダメだとそう判断した時には俺が全責任を持って彼を倒すよ。
分かった。僕も GPM の臨時代表として同意する。
The two broached the topic diplomatically. I couldn't even eke a word of protest. With the fate of my world hanging in the balance, Mizir and Rindo had to make the toughest decision of all. There's no denying the threat to mankind posed by Ignis. That I knew. If he were part of our discussion, I knew for sure he wouldn't want to eat, kill, or put anyone in harm. If it were up to him, he would rather die. But... Please! Stop! During a pause in their battle... Come back! Ignis! I realized I couldn't abandon hope, so I screamed out to him in a parched voice. I'm trying to like point my face away from the mic so I'm not like blasting your ears by screaming. Grazing a corner of the ice field were several beast clans grouped en masse, the strong and the weak. Tribes who had warred among one another days or even hours ago stood in harmonious awe. They gazed their eyes upon the magnificent wolf and trembled before its maw.
なんだありゃ、化け物じゃねえか。どっかの奴らがやり合ってるみてえだが、どうする？冗談じゃねえ。あんな化け物、まともに相手にできるか。今のうちに少しでも離れるぞ。
It was common sense, even to savages. While all beasts communed in an unspoken trust, one that dared them to risk their lives in the name of honor and blood sport. The godlike wolf towering above them superseded their futile search for supremacy. The crowd of beasts all nodded in agreement. Savage and civilized beasts all turned their backs to leave the battlegrounds together. Among their number was...
あんな魔獣がベスティアにいたなんて。
ちょっとあんた、何をぼーっとしてんのよ。私たちも早く逃げるわよ。
After they struck up an acquaintance several days prior, the boy and the girl developed a strong, neighborly friendship. The girl tugged at his arm, hoping his eyes would meet hers before they trotted to safety with the rest of the pack. But the girl's ears perked upwards, twitching in alert. The boy asked what she heard.
聞こえる。
え？
声よ。あの化け物の名前を呼ぶ声。
The boy squinted his eyes, blushing because her hearing was sharper than his, but he focused, listening closely. Come back, Ignis! Each impact cracked in the foggy air. The boy recognized the voice. It belonged to the human woman who he had tended. The girl and the boy exchanged a look.
イグニス？
あれが？
The both of them gasped in disbelief, but others soon began to hear the voice. The two put their heads together, trying to discern how exactly that monster was the same person as the beast who saved them. True, The firewolf and this great beast had similarities, and some beasts could switch between humanoid and animalistic forms. But even so, how much of Ignis survived in there? Judging by the beast's reckless, destructive movements, the answer appeared grim. What could have happened to him? What could save him? The boy and the girl took in the sight of the giant beast and realized they were terrified of its monstrous size. However, together they nodded and found resolve. Each of them put one leg before the other. They moved forward one step at a time, as if in sync. They were friends no matter what. Both of them represented every beast who had ever owed their lives to Ignis. They bravely stepped towards that great calamity together. It was a sight to behold. The hardened beasts, who wouldn't have hesitated to torture or kill them, rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Oh, God. After countless swings of his sword were powerless to deter Ignis's advance, Canis had begun to feel like he reached his threshold. Just as his solid armor was close to bursting from the intense heat, thick chains of light had suddenly appeared, restraining Ignis's giant body. This time, they did not shatter prior to impact, and the fiery wolf found itself ensnared as it lashed out in resistance.
助かっただが
What was that? Everyone glanced up at the sky in unison.
申し訳ありません。到着が遅れました。
Ew! I hope you're okay. I hope you're not dying.
見るまだ傷も塞がってなかったはずじゃ。
それがどういうことか。眠っている間に最低限の霊力が回復したようでして、カリア曰く突然見知らぬ男が訪ねてきて私の治療を行ったそうですが。
Huh? Eel spoke in a calm demeanor, flapping his wings while he recounted his story.
状況はすべてカリアから聞きました。あれがバナル、つまりイグニスということでよろしいですか？
Yeah!
了解しました。能力も体力も全開には程遠いですが、私もなんとか戦闘行動に。
As Eel said his part, Ignis bit the chains of light, using his fangs to force them off. Then he rolled over, smashing his tail right onto Eel's body. Eel? Freed from his metaphysical chains, Ignis marched haughtily on the icy field before turning to stampede over the downed eel. At the last second, a shadow swooped down. In the nick of time, Eel was saved by a mysterious savior. To my surprise, it was not Canis, nor Mazir, nor Rendo, and certainly not me.
怖っ何あれ本当にイグニスなの違ったら飛んだ骨折り損じゃん
I squinted through the darkness, realizing there was something familiar about him. It was the frail beast boy who saved me. As he carried Eel to safety, he turned to look over his shoulder each time Ignis roared. Then, shattered clumps of ice came flying from behind us. The specks hit Ignis's eyes. Rendo and I were frozen in place, puzzled by what we had seen when...
どんだけすごいデカブツだろうと眼球までは丈夫じゃないでしょ。
Rushing atop the bluff was another familiar face, a young grinning beast girl. It's you!
バカみたい。そんな魔獣の話見たことも聞いたこともないわ。だったらなんでもっと早く両親が殺される前に来てくれなかったのよ。
That's a great memory of her. All this time.
久しぶりね。相変わらず弱そう。っていうか、ちょっと見かけない間に情けない顔になったわね。
So rude. Huh? The young girl laughed air out of her nose, enjoying a smug laugh to herself. A rumble grew in the distance, signaling the rally of the beast contingent en route. Beasts of all colors and creeds, united by their size relative to Ignis, ran forth. Some of them stopped to pack tight lumps of ice. I almost said light tumps. Of ice into snowballs, hurling it like cannon fire into the towering wolf's eyes. Others leapt up towards Ignis's snout, finding patches of fur to kick at to disorient the beast. While each attack did no serious harm to the wolf on its own, it was death by 1,000 cuts. The wolf was poked constantly in all directions, infuriating him to no end. He could hardly focus on Mazir or the others, and the frustration had become too much to bear as the flames began to wildly ignite.
のったこれくらいなら俺も役に立つよっと
From under his cloak, Mazir flipped his hand, deploying arcane shields which contained Ignis's flames and protected everyone else's lives.
揃いも揃って戦いを得意としないであろう魔獣がこれはどういうことだい
借りを返しに来たのよ。
Dad?
どいつもこいつも同じなの。今まで誤解してた。どっかのお人よしの不殺の魔獣に命を救われた借りがある。だからそれを返す前に死なれたり化け物になり果てられたら迷惑ってわけ。
Then it hit me.
なんつうか俺はこっちで喧嘩の他にも地元やこいつらみてえな魔獣の用心棒みたいなのをしててな
Although he threw it out in cocky stride, here was the proof, as all of the people he had pledged up to protect up until this point were gathered together as a community to save Ignis. The girl's proud declaration coaxed a smile from the faces of Mazir and the others.
そういうことなら作戦変更まっとうな攻撃や拘束が通じないならかく乱が得意な彼らのサポートだこうなったらとことんイグニスの体力が尽きるまで全力でおちょくってやろう
I feel like this would not work.
心得たでは魔獣たちの守護は我に任せよ
では私もかく乱行動を主体とします
Everyone fanned out, heading into position. Now, instead of casting wave after wave of powerful attacks, they redirected their efforts by drawing the wolf's attention away from his target, using a more peaceful solution to handle the beast. Rather than slay the wolf of calamity, they gathered courage as the unit to repay the ultimate debt to their savior and friend. Even so, Ignis was slowly but surely making progress towards the wormhole, all while attempting to devour any beast unlucky to be swallowed. As this happened,
で、あんたはぼーっと何やってんのよ。
Huh? The girl barked me out of my daydream.
さっきから様子を見てれば何もせずに黙ったりビクビクと怯えてばっか。
Wow!
あれ、イグニスなんでしょ。不殺の魔獣なんでしょ。あの時あんたを守るために戦ったあいつなんでしょ。とんでもない姿になってるけどその事実は変わらないじゃない。いい？あんたとイグニスの間に何があったのかは知らないけど怖がんなら後にしなさいよ。あいつに伝えたいことはないわけ？私の両親みたいに死んでからじゃ何もかもが遅いのよ。
Oh, straight to the point.
ことね行く必要はね言ったろ仕方ねえから守ってやるってな
I gently placed my hand over my chest. My fingers felt the rhythmic thump of my heart, the one he swore to protect. There was something I could do. Something I needed to tell him. It was... thank you. I clenched my teeth, grimacing at the truth of what she said, and thanked her. Rindo, everyone, I have a request. I poked my head over the crowd, commanding the group's attention with a loudly proclaimed proposal. Oh, God. I mean, that would be crazy if she proposed to him. I mean, wild. I was being driven through the ice field in the opposite direction from the wormhole. Rindo raced the snowmobile through the tundra some ways from the battlefield. Yes. The distraction effort is going well, but Ignis is still getting too close to the wormhole. That's where we come in. We need to draw his attention. Only one thing would work as bait. Where did he go?
人間の中でも特に入れ込んでたこの女の血と肉に目がないんでしょ。あの時夢中でかぶりついてた顔を思い出せばすぐにわかることっす。
He was lured to the wormhole by humans. Our only recourse was to tease him with an even more tantalizing stunt. One came to mind.
だからって君がおとりになるなんて。
I smiled, watching as Rindo furrowed his brow behind the wheel of his snowmobile. I'm prepared for anything. So Rindo, please get away from here.
やる以上は従うしかないよ、リンド。君がそこにいると匂いが混じってうまく機能しなくなる。
ですがどうか無茶はせずに。イグニスが走り出すと同時に私たちも当然追いかけますが、
万が一間に合わなかった場合はすぐに傷口を塞ぎ逃げてくれ。それでイグニスが止まるかわからんが。
Got it. Thank you. None of them could leave their positions, so I responded affirmatively, holding the wishes of the beast people close to heart. I tepidly reached my hand over to the bandage covering my wound. Then, after extending his look of concern, Rindo nodded slowly.
万が一の時は全速力で迎えに来るよ。
Okay. With that, Rindo spun the vehicle around, moving to a safe distance where he could still keep an eye on me. Phew. I took a deep breath, then... I bit my lip as I pulled the sticky bandage from my arm once again. Blood began to pour, gush more like, and I washed the pestered Ignis from a distance. He scuttled as the scent hit his nostrils. Reacting to the scent of my blood, the wolf shook his fur before kicking at the ground to blaze towards me. Ehil eyed the rampaging wolf, flapping wings to overtake the beast and secure me, but...
待ってください。危機を読んでいた移動速度をはるかに上回っています。
まさか
今まで一度たりとも全力ではなかったというのか。
Everyone across the magic circle gulped.
リンド、作戦は中止です。今の私ではあの速度に追いつけません。速やかに彼女の保護を。
わかった。
The flaming wolf had sprinted towards me at the speed of sound, stirring me with terror. As the one who conceived of this operation, I anticipated this outcome. The outcome where nobody made it in time, where my life could end in an instant. The wolf had let out a delightful howl, ready to savor the taste of his meager prey. There was no kindness in his eyes as they locked on target, me. Before I had the chance to move, the wolf stretched his maw open to devour me whole. But something beat him to it. At my feet, I heard something bounce. It plopped repeatedly on the icy ground. The sound repeated over and over, building into a louder rhythm until I heard ice crack beneath me. I heard an adorable cry squeak beneath the lake shore, summoning even more countless small figures to loosen Ignis's footing. Even he had been taken by surprise. Before Ignis could adjust his front legs, his hulking frame slipped into the water. Waves began to crash, rippling through the immediate vicinity. Desperately, I shift my feet, hoping to avoid the wave. In front of me, I spy a small figure. I recognize that voice. I glance down to see... Kororo! Kororo? You're safe! Kororo had been closely followed by a horde of beasts who looked just like him. It was a pride of Pacus. Could it be? Were the Pacus not extinct as we thought? It appeared as some had survived. Somehow, Kororo managed to rally them after being tossed aside by Drami. The many Pacus formed an orderly line, cheering me on from the side. I looked around me for Ignis. When I spotted him, he appeared to be locked in place, although something confused me. He groaned in frustration. Despite being, from my perspective, able to get out of his bind, he refused to. It was as though his mind and body were out of sync, his willpower was diminished. Then I realized. Ignis! I discarded my role as his bait, and I called out to him, running as quickly as I could to the huge wolf. However, there were shards of broken ice all around me. It was difficult to find steadier footing, much less run. My legs felt ready to give when... Yes! The young boy came to my side, his eyes beaming with kindness. He generously helped me to my feet. He pulled my arm around him and I supported my back, making sure I found my footing. Then he led me to Ignis. Just as we reached the wolf, a rushing wave caused by Ignis's exhale rumbled into fragile ice. The boy threw me from the cracked ice. He plunged into the sea in my place. Thanks to his sacrifice, Ignis was right there, standing right before my eyes. I make a slow, tepid approach to his maw. The wolf immediately raised his head, tracking me as prey with a glare. Following his ancestral instinct, the wolf bared his fangs to devour me. The beast cried out in anguish. Its fangs halted inches from my face. The wolf opened his mouth, then closed it. He began to flee, wincing with each movement. This was no mindless beast. I could hear him whimper in there. I knew it. You're still there. I took one step, and then another when... That's where you were. You just... Get out of here!
それともまだ奇跡だの愛だのなえ空事を信じてるんすか？どんな言葉を浴びせようとバナルの捕食本能の前には無駄なことっすよ。
Drami cackled maniacally, likely having watched everything unfold from the shadows. But none of that mattered. Who are you even talking about? I'm not wasting my time here right now extending my hand to Vinar. He's awkward and blunt, and he's like no one I've ever met. He's one of Enchanté's favorite regulars, Ignis Carbunculus. Drami raised his arm, perhaps so he could strike me again, when... Two chains suddenly appeared around his body, completely restraining him.
なんとか術式の届く範囲まで近づけました。
うちのお姫様は勝ち気で困るね。それはそれでお似合いか。
がこんなもんだ。
やめときなよ、ドローミ。この状態で逃がすほど俺たちもバカじゃない。君にできることはもうないんだ。
Can you gag him at the same
そこで
time?
おとなしく見届けるんだね。
Thank you, Monsieur Eel. I thanked my two assistants, and I walked onwards once more. The pillar of light climbed into the night. At last, I reached him. Oh, picture get? Sorry for keeping you waiting, Ignis. Oh, picture get! I whispered softly into his ears, running my fingers through his scorched fur. Ignis let out a tender groan. Then, once more the calamity surged. I knew it. The same old Ignis still hides in there. You're resisting Vinar. Even now, I know you're looking after me. I felt beside myself. But I'm sorry. I won't do what you tell me to. I won't scream in fear, and I'm not running anymore. I still haven't given up on you, winning the fight. The wolf tilted his head in confusion, uncertain of what I meant. I call it naivete, or idealism. None of it mattered to me, even if Ignis himself refused to believe it was possible. I believe in your strength. You're the strongest ever to live, strong enough to overcome the instinct. Didn't I tell you before that I will satisfy your hunger every day at Enchanté for the rest of our lives? I haven't given up on that dream. What about you, Ignis?
違う。そんなことは俺の願いじゃない。俺の本当の願いは、叫びは、本能は。
Tell me what you wanted to say. Tell me your wish. I want to know your heart's deepest desire. Suddenly, his enormous body began to convulse. The moonlit flames flickered above the frost. It was as though whatever was laying dormant inside of him was fighting desperately not to vanish. The flames weakened, and the wolf heaved a sigh before going silent. Then, he lamented, just as he had in the shrine, but there was new life to it somehow. Oh. Oh God, that's so sweet. He cried out from the bottom of his heart. Oh, he's crying. The malevolent force that compelled Ignis to feed. howled for the last time. I've been devoured. In a sense. It had been totally devoured. After returning to his original form, Ignis lived out the life he had always wished for. Huh? Ignis. I called out to his sweet voice as he wraps his warm arms around me. Welcome back. You returned to me as quickly as you said you would. We shared in the same heat. We went to merge our lives into one. Oh, yay! At last, the night was broken, and a warm sunrise was birthed into that frozen realm.
そうだ。俺の本当の願いは、本能は、お前とこうすることだった。飽きるぐらい、お前の強さとぬくもりをこの身に宿すことだった。
Wow, Jesus Christ, Ignis is just proposing. Like, what's happening?
俺はお前を男として欲してたんだ。餌として食うためなんかじゃねえ。
Ruined, ruined. You finally said it. You might run your mouth from time to time, but at least you're sweet. In my arms, I felt a warmth and comfort that I didn't know were possible. The thought brought a tear to my eye.
俺はもう最悪になんざならねえ。俺は淡きことねって強い女に惚れたイグニスというただの男であり続ける。
And so, he shed his past as Vanar. From a short distance away, our friends sat watching us, grinning kindly as we basked in our love.
もう無理。一歩も歩けない。本気で疲れた。
Is Drami like screaming?
戦ってたのか、俺たち。
Drami has to be freaking out.
色をつきっきりで看病するつもりで、あらかじめ長めの休養を魔界で取っておいて、ああよかった。
ふむ、さすがに我もここまで苛烈かつ長丁場となる戦は初めてだ。
僕もこの年で肉体労働の徹夜ってなかなかね。正直気絶しそう。
We pushed Rendo too hard.
もういっそその場に寝ちゃったらリンド。
イルも消耗していたせいか、決着を見届けた途端に気絶してしまったしな。
この人たちでもこんなありさまなんだから、俺たちが全員生き残ったことってすっごい奇跡なんだよな。
正直死ぬかと思ったし、二度とごめんだけど。
うん、いいもの見れたし満足だよね。
そうよ、むしろもっと誇りましょう。私たちこの世界の最強の魔獣を打ち倒すための力になったのよ。もう弱いなんて誰にも言わせないわ。特にどこかの臆病な魔獣たちにはね。
そうだね。君たちの強さは俺たち全員が保証するよ。彼を倒したのも結局力じゃなかったしね。
The conversation unfolds amidst the chatter, but there was someone unable to accept reality. The young man fell to his knees.
嘘だ。
Everyone else was gathered in celebration, and the chains which had restrained him until the sunrise were unhinged. But Drami nevertheless stared into emptiness, unwilling, unmoving.
嘘だ。兄貴がこんなの何かの間違いだ。
世界最強の兄貴がバナルがこんなにもあっけなく武器も使わない人間の言葉なんかで。
Much to his surprise, someone responded to his cries out in the void.
間違いなんかじゃないわよ。あんただって見てたでしょ。
うん。負けたんだよ、彼は。最強の魔獣、バナルは。
The people who came to the aid of Koltone, those who overcame their weak designation, defying odds by conquering Ignis, the strong. Drami turned the thought over in his head, letting the gravity sink in.
負けた。俺の夢が完全な最強の象徴であるはずのバナルが魔王でも天使でも騎士でもないただの弱っちい魔獣や人間に。
完全な最強などどこにも存在しないのだろう。だからこそ初代古代のバナルも同様に当時の魔獣や人間に討伐された。
仮にこの先イグニスがもしまたバナルになったとしてもきっと結果は同じだよ。きっと彼はこの子たちや琴音に永遠に負け続けるんだ。
Oh, look at how happy they are! Oh, I'm so happy for them. Meanwhile, whatever Mizir and the others were discussing was none of our concern. Hey, Ignis?
Oh.
Over and over, we couldn't tire of it. We basked in each other's warmth, exchanging sweet, tender words. You're so strong. You fulfilled your promise. You came back to me. I feel so safe in your arms. At first, Ignis was taken aback by my directness. He let out a light-hearted chuckle. Huh? Was that weird to say?
分かってねえなって。本当に強えのはお前だよ、琴音。
Huh?
最後の最後まで俺を諦めずに必死にあがいて、そんで届けてくれた。思い出させてくれた。お前の思いを、俺の思いを。こんな底なしに優しくて強い女、他に見たことねえんだ。
I'm entranced by the comfort of his embrace. The dawn brought a new hope with it. Just then I feel all the gratitude in the world to be in the arms of the man I loved.
琴音、俺はお前を愛してる。二度と話したりしねえ。
His words complete me. I won't let you go either. I squeezed tight, bringing this body closer. The one and only wolf of burning love. It was a fire we now tended together. It blazed on, illuminating our dark pasts, guiding us to a brighter future. Oh. Woo! Yes, that was amazing. Oh my god, I cannot lie to you at all. I loved Ignis's storyline. I don't know what it is for me, but I think it's just, you know, it's his personality. It's like the kind of like, I think it's called like gap moe, where like he just like starts off as so standoffish and like he's so tsundere in the beginning, but he like genuinely really does like her. And it's not even like he's like, oh, I don't like you, you know, he kind of is obvious with it. And I really appreciate that. They had a lot of communication. There was just so much that I liked about it that I'm willing to overlook all the typos that were happening and all the like weird sentence and like translation errors and stuff. Although it does make me sad that there were that many translation errors, because I think so far I think his route might be my favorite. Story-wise, I think it's a little bit like rushed at the end, because when you think about it, like he might be like Vanar forever, you know? Like I think he's gonna have this issue for the rest of his life. Like just because she put Vanar away for now, we don't know what's gonna happen in the future. Like Vanar could come back at any point. I think even Mazir said that. So I don't know how I feel about the storyline, but I can tell you for a fact he's by far my favorite bachelor so far. This has been of enjoyment to play. I know Rindo's made me so sad, and fucking like Canis's made me sad, Rindo's made me sad. I almost cried with Ignis's, but Rindo's took the cake in terms of depressing. So I don't know. We'll see.
Cool.
Cool. Oh god. That's the epilogue? I feel so robbed. Okay. I was about to say, what the fuck? Now where did I put the new recipe book? Oh, found it. Right, I put it on top of the shelf. I stretched up, reaching my arm towards the book I wanted. As I groaned from a sharp pain.
たく何やってんだよ。しばらくは無茶すんなって散々言い聞かせただろうが。
It was Ignis. He entered the room without my notice, slipping between me and the shelf to pluck the book I'd been reaching for. Thanks, Ignis. I can still grab books, you know. My wound's mostly healed up. The pain will stop soon enough.
それでもだよ。見てるこっちがヒヤヒヤすんだっつうの。つか、そもそもよ。折れた女の心配をすんのは当然だろう。
It's a little embarrassing when he says it that often. Ignis dropped the words so casually, but I hid my now rosy cheek. Until recently, he seemed like someone who was naturally averse to terms of affection. But something in him had changed, and it wasn't just my arm that throbbed. My heart beat so fast it could burst. I tried to distract myself, hoping my blush would start to fade before Ignis had noticed. So, it's already been a month. Time sure does fly.
だな。けど未だに散々氷だのをぶつけられた目が痛む気がするぜ。
Now that I think about it, yeah, his eyes probably really hurt. They threw so much stuff at his eyes. Those beasts are better at throwing than I credited them. One month had passed since our battle against the legendary Vanar on the icy Bestian fields. Café Enchanté had gone back to normal. At last, we had mostly reclaimed our normal lives. Although, the neighborhood was still undergoing lots of repair thanks to the Minotaurs. However, after the fact dealings that were, thankfully, handled by Mr. Rindo and the company of the GPM...
本当に良いのですか？こちらの甘味や乙女ゲームのグッズをすべていただいてしまって。
もちろん、君の全開祝いってことで、全部俺たちのおごりだよ。
まあ半分以上はイグニスからの見舞いというか、負傷させたお前への詫びの品だ。
Oh.
彼のお財布、しばらくはすっからかんだろうね。
それについては大丈夫じゃない？だって臨時とはいえ新しい働き口見つけたんだしさ。
Naturally, all the regulars like Karia were beginning to arrive. However, There was one slight change, one that left a bittersweet taste. We no longer had our adorable mascot in my room or around the shop. Oh, Koro, yeah. Ow! Oh, I was not ready. Koro managed to reunite with his clan of fellow Pakus.
Cool!
And surprisingly, Kororo was able to reunite with his parents. Honestly, size aside, I couldn't have told them apart from Kororo. There was no way of knowing which was him, his dad, or his mom. Regardless, after reuniting Kororo with his parents, the little guy returned to the Bestia's seas. Although, it wasn't goodbye forever. Kororo had somehow managed to convince his clan to uproot their settlement closer to the gate. That way, they could spend their free days visiting me whenever I crossed over. Before, traveling to Bestia was dangerous, as hunters prowled the Badlands. It was practically asking for travel. But since then, Bestia has seen better days. Thanks to the uprising of lesser beasts who fought in the battle to stop Vanar, the more savage beasts who once hunted the lesser beasts for sport took mercy on their fellow beasts. While they're not wearing flower crowns and dancing in fields, at the very least, the beasts learned to cool it on the raids. Perhaps other descendants of Vanar exist. This thought came up from time to time. So it seemed Bestians came to a new unspoken agreement to reduce the brutalism. At last, Kororo could live in harmony amongst his kin and Bestia.
まさか俺の望んだ変化が俺がバナルになることで生まれるとはな。
Ignis muttered this to himself, but something seemed to disturb him. After what happened, Ignis decided to relocate his life to the human world. He moved in with me at Enchanté. With his wish fulfilled, though not fully, he no longer had any reason to return to Bestia as he had achieved top supremacy. And although it wasn't his fault, Ignis knew he had atoned for his crime, letting his ancestral instinct run wild. So for now, he was hired as a part-time worker at Enchanté, assisting me with duties for the duration of my injury. Lest we forget, the one who orchestrated all of it.
ドローミの野郎は相変わらず GPM で抜け殻のまんまなんだろうな。
Right. After being apprehended by Rindo and Kanas, Drami was once more sentenced to imprisonment at the GPM. From what Rindo had told me, he had been locked in solitary confinement the whole time. Despite the feelings of betrayal, the situation was especially tough for Ignis, who still cared deeply for Drami.
あいつのやったことは許せねえし、許されるもんでもね。ただ、生きてる限りは、俺と同じように、てめえの罪と向き合う覚悟が必要になってくんだろう。けどま、俺の分は、そうだな。あいつがいつか正気に戻るようなことがあれば。
Then?
1発、2発。いや、50発の顔面パンチで済ませてやるか。
Maybe I misheard you, but did you skip from twice to 50 times?
足りめえだ。やらかしとはまた別に。
Ignis gently brought his hand to my cheek.
あいつにはお前の体を散々痛めつけられたからな。ま、俺も奴のことは言えねえが。
He stroked his finger over my cheeks, as though he was looking for scars over and over again. I'm fine now. But what about you, Ignis? How's your body holding up after everything?
お、もう心配すんな。あれからは制御できねえようなおかしな空腹が湧くこともね。
Huh.
とはいえ、しばらくは様子見も兼ねて、普通の飯も控えることにするけどよ。
I see. But even before the cravings began, you appeared to have a healthy appetite. This must be quite the challenge.
んなことはねえよ。飯の代わりってわけじゃねえが。
Hmm? Whoa! What? Whoa! Whoa! Children, cover your eyes! What? 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 Whoa! This was a lot less. I'm so sorry. My reaction was like I just started screaming. I didn't. Okay. Okay. Picture get. Whoa! What the fuck? What? You did. Okay. I'm just gonna read it. Before I knew it, his lips were pressed onto mine, taking small, playful nibbles. It was hot. I felt his body quivering on mine as we pushed into the bed. The taste of his lips, all of him. He tilted his head, pecking me from my nose down to my neck. Then he flashed a bold smile. Good Lord! I did not expect that at all. I guess because we saw a kiss scene with Rindo. We didn't see one with Canis. I think that's pretty difficult to do with Canis, with, his whole headless thing. But I guess, oh wow. This was just a different situation, because Rindo's kiss scenes are all they were standing, they were in public or something. No, Ignis is just in the bed, That meant, from now on, our lives were one, spent in secrets and whispers from our bed. Please go easy on me. Oh my god! I cannot. Oh my god, I can totally see why people simp for Ignis so hard now. This has completed my questions. Okay. With a passionate gaze, even with my cheeks the shade of wine, I return a smile of surrender. You don't need to remind me. I won't run away. I want you, all of you, to consume my heart. Oh my god! They insinuated that there was they insinuated sex, straight up sex. He was just, she was like, please be gentle with me. Holy shit, dude. What? Oh, right. I forgot that this was a thing. Scared the shit out of me. Oh my god. I'm still in shock with the other things. Prologue 4. Tu fui ego eris. How? Why? He and I were supposed to be equals. He was supposed to be with me. And still, why was he the only one who was saved? What was the difference between me and him? Ignis. A new prologue is now unlocked. Whoo! Wow, guys. Wow. I can't. Hold on, I'm gonna go to the picture just so it doesn't redo everything, because sometimes it'll like play the opening if you stay on the thing too long, but I do want to look at the pictures really quick. But what? Like, okay, hold on, let me freak out normally this time since we don't have to like read through the whole thing, but wow, that was like sensual. There was way more smut in this than I had originally anticipated. Like, if you just look at, well, we haven't gotten to Eel yet, but like, look at Connus. It was so like, just kind of like vanilla, you know, like there wasn't even a kiss scene. It was just like very gentle, like, oh, caressing of the face, touching of the hands, whatever. And then you have fucking Rindo, where there's a couple kiss scenes. There was the one where he, like, she gave him the whatever the heck it was called, that weird potion thing. There was this one at the amusement park where she, like, was trying to confess her love to him or whatever, and then there was the final CG, you know? And then this, like, there's like literally no kiss scenes whatsoever. It's just sensual all the way. Like, I mean, it doesn't help that Ignis also like doesn't wear a shirt and is like beast form or whatever, but he's like licking her fingers, he's like holding her to his body. It's like insane. And then the final one, honestly, I expected to see like his tongue, like I expected to see something like this, you know, like there's no tongue involved. It's just like a simple kiss, just like what they did with Rindo's, like 3 kiss CGs. But no, they have to give us the other one where his tongue is like going in, and then they start talking about the, oh my god, wow. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm so sorry. I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. I still don't take back what I said. I still think that Ignis's route is probably my favorite so far, just in terms of, like, I think that him and Kotone make the most sense together, at least from what I've seen in their interactions and stuff like that. Like, Ignis is just very straightforward, and I think Kotone, like, works well with him. Like, Connus, I felt like there was just always, like, misunderstandings and concerns, you know? Like, Connus never really told Kotone, hey, this is how I feel, this is, like... I mean, he did tell her in the end, but there were just constantly... She was just trying to figure out what he was thinking, and he was constantly just running away. And then Rindo, don't even get me started on Rindo. Rindo is, like... He's just, like, an older man. There's a different maturity level there. He's, like... Rindo was just handling it as, like... Okay, well, I don't want to put you in any type of danger, in any type of position, so I'm just going to be a mystery. And I think, again, the whole Kotone having to kind of tell him, like, this is what I want, and then Rindo being like, oh, okay. Like, I liked it, but I wish it was less focused on the age, you know? I think Ignis and Kotone's relationship built very quickly, but very, like, straightforwardly. Like, it made a lot of sense when it happened. There were, like, him finding Kororo kind of bonding them together, like, him talking about his concerns and stuff like that, her admiring him, and then, like, it was just such a natural progression. So I really appreciated it. We're gonna see what happens with Eel next. I'm so afraid. Like, I don't even know what to expect there. I feel like Eel is, like, probably, out of all of the guys, I think Eel is the one I'm the most nervous for. I'm, like, very excited for Mazirs, obviously, because Mazir is supposed to, I think he's, like, the poster child of this game. And Mazir's just got such a great personality. I mean, I love Eel. I think Eel's personality is great. I just don't know how it's gonna mesh with Kotone, because he's just so innocent, you know? Like, and it's not even quite innocence, it's more like just oblivious. Well, next episode we enter Eel's route wow. I'm waiting for more of this just sad stuff, because every single freaking route so far has been sad. Like, Ignis not so much, and Canis not so much. Rindo's horribly sad. I like cried for 3 episodes straight. I'm thinking that like Eel's route is probably going to be the same, so we're gonna see. But I'll see you guys next time.